Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. No rest for the wicked. Tour de France put in the rearview window behind us, and we're on to the Olympic Games. I for some reason, Benji, I thought this started in August. You texted yesterday saying we need to do the TT preview. I was like, excuse me. But I guess, yeah, so good for the guys who can just carry their Tour de France shape. Maybe not good for the guys like Pedersen who crashed in the Tour de France and are recovering. But yeah, the TT is this Saturday, not even on the Sunday. And it's basically guys went straight from Nice that are doing it like Wout van Aert and Remco Evenepoel, two of the big favourites for this race. But yeah, it's in the road race is next Saturday for the men and Sunday for the women. 3rd and 4th of August, but yeah, the TT this Saturday. The course, Benji, run us through this course in the north, or not really in the north of Paris, in the center of Paris.
Well, the men's and women's ITT both have the same course this year, 32.5 kilometers from Paris Invalides to Paris Pont Alexandre III. Hey, the French is on, come on. We've got basically what looks like a flat parkour on the profile, I would say. There's a few altitude meters, but nothing too serious. And then I look at the map, and honestly, the first spot of the course and the last spot of the course doesn't look too technical. There's a bit of a segment in the middle where they go through a park, and maybe there's a bit more corners, but I feel like the overall articles I've read about this course is that it's quite technical, but I don't necessarily see it.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, they open up with basically, they take a right turn out of Les Invalides, and then they got 6Ks without touching the brakes, 7Ks without touching the brakes, and then some other long straights in and out of the Bois de Vincennes. So, yeah, they head east and go and do a loop around the forest of Vincennes. And I don't know what else is in there. There's the Paris Arboretum, which is nice. My mother would like to go to that. I think we have gone to that as children. But yeah, it's mostly on the north side of the Seine, in and out of that the Bois de Vincennes, and then back on the south side through some of the famous parts like the Latin Quarter and Saint-Germain-des-Prés, and then back to Les Invalides and across the river, as Benji says, where they finish near, is it the Georges Pompidou Center?
How the fuck am I supposed to know?
You should know, Benji. You're a resident culture vulture.
I very much am, right? Pop culture straight in my
It's near the Grand Palais bus station, I think. So should be a pretty interesting TT. It's in terms of weather, Luke's weather models. Luke always has 6 different weather models. He says forecast is rain, consistent rain, I believe. So not just where Ethan Hayter starts a technical descent, gets a hailstorm for 30 seconds in the Basque Country, and then it stops, and he's like, what the fuck? That was pretty unlucky in the Basque Country TT. I think it's supposed to be consistent rain. Wind, I wouldn't expect too much wind to affect anything, Benji, mainly because they're in the center of Paris, which I believe is built up quite a big city. And there's buildings that should be protecting them largely from the wind, although in the forest over to the east, maybe there's a bit more, but it's a city TT. I've never actually seen this is like the Danish one in Copenhagen, but even Copenhagen's not as like
Barcelona,
big.
TTT.
Yeah, and what a spectacle that was. Well done. And that rain too. So it can be chaos. Yeah. It can really cause chaos.
It was dark.
Hopefully they do this in the middle of the afternoon. I think they will. But yeah, what do you make of who does this favor or suit this course? It's obviously pancake flat as well, by the way. This is the flattest TT just about some of these guys will do this year outside of the UAE.
Well, the pure time trialists is what I'd say. Like, I feel like in Tokyo, there was more than just a completely flat TT. It was quite rolly and so forth. And there, the time trial was also after the road race. So we saw, for example, Roglic having a back injury during the road race, but then destroying the time trial a few days later. We don't have that effect now. People will start the ITT and potentially start the road race afterwards, but they won't sandbag in a road race before an ITT because it's the other way around on the planning now. But when it comes to the actual course, I think just the pure time trial is as simple as that. The ones that can push the watts on a flat course or aerodynamic, all that bundled together. It's not really for the short time trialists, guys. even though I feel like we haven't seen that many prologues recently in the sport of cycling. In Austria, I saw one, if I recall correctly, where Ganna got destroyed by the amount of corners in that course. But for me, I think of Ganna, Evenepoel, Tarling as the favorites.
And they are. So according to the bookmakers, Tarling is actually better than Evans' favourite at $1.83. Ganna's second favourite at $3. Remco Evenepoel just behind him at $4.30. And it really looks like a 3-horse race. The next closest in odds is Wout van Aert, who is $34. So not being given much chance. Then McNulty, Sheffield, the two Americans at 41.51, Kung 51, Biska 67, Hayter 101, Plapp 101, Bjerg 151, and the 2022 world champion Tobias Foss 151. So it's really between those big three apparently. The rain does add a fair bit of variance to it.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know who that... If I had to guess, the rain would suit Tarling, being a
British,
prodigious time trialist from Wales and doing so many TTs in the UK. I dare say he's done some in wet conditions, and I would say it does not suit Magnus Sheffield or Remco Evenepoel. Ganna, I don't know, much of a muchness. Van Aert, maybe it suits him a bit. We saw him using a front disc wheel actually in a recon. Some photos taken this morning. So obviously they don't think wind will play a big role. Do those odds surprise you, Benji? Firstly, that it's such a 3-horse race, and secondly, that Tarling is the prohibitive favourite.
That it's a 3-horse race is not a surprise to me. I personally may or may not have had Joshua Tarling for this time trial in my mind for a while. Also because if you look at all those 3 riders, Remco focuses on so many goals throughout the season, including the Tour de France just before the Olympics, while Tarling and Ganna are kind of completely focused on the Olympics, which that's not necessarily just the time trial, but it's a big part of it. But Ganna, for example, is doing the other track disciplines like the individual pursuit and team pursuit, I'm pretty sure. And then when it comes to Tarling, he's also doing the medicine discipline on the track. So these 2 riders are focusing solely on the Olympics, so it's not surprising to me that they have the odds-on favoritism over Remco, who just finished the Tour de France, and there's a question mark thereof. Will he have the same form still from the Tour de France? I would say probably, because it's actually only a few days later. It's been 6 days when this time trial arrives. That's actually crazy, no?
Yeah, it's so short, and so Remco looked pretty good in the Tour de France. Obviously, you have to be pushing pretty good watts to come third, and he was, one of the top 3 there. But yeah, his first TT win, 34 seconds ahead of Roglic, 12 ahead of Pogacar on a much hillier course. That was 283 meters over 25 Ks. And yeah, I mean, the final TT to Nice and Monaco, frankly, is irrelevant. Like, to this TT, It was so hilly. In the Dauphiné, we saw him beat Tarling by 17 seconds on a sub 50k an hour course that had 427 meters elevation gain over the same distance, 34 Ks or so. In the World Championships last year, obviously it was much hillier, not incredibly, wasn't mountainous, but it had 280 meters of elevation gain over 47 Ks and in proper little punches, particularly the cobbled one at the end. And Remco beat Tarling by 48 seconds with an average of about 52 Ks an hour, 12 seconds ahead of Ganna. I think Remco is a little bit underrated for this by the odds. I'm actually surprised because he's pushing his best ever threshold power.
Yeah.
I think must be true.
Mm-hmm.
On the flat, really flat straight sections in the TTs, he was the best in the Tour. He destroyed everybody. And that's what this TT is. So I know the other 2 guys are bigger. I know they've been preparing, but also he's also smoked these guys in flat courses before. So I actually would have had them all level. I think any one of the 3 can win.
Ooh. I don't know. I find it very weird because it's so opposite the way Remco rides these flat TTs versus Ganna and Tarling. Those are the guys that push the absolute watts into infinite. And then you've got Remco, who also, in addition to that, actually benefits a lot from his low CDA, his low body surface. Is that how do I explain CDA in an easy way?
He's punching a smaller hole into the wind.
Exactly.
And he has aero skin.
Yeah, he said the other day that he'd rather wear boxer shorts because it would benefit him because his thighs are aero or something.
Yeah, he has aero skin, so he is the aero bullet.
The Scud of Skepdal, my friend. Come on.
Yeah, but like, I know that Ghana's like this is a big goal for them, but still, there's the talent of Remco, and he won the World Championships for a reason. I think any one of the three can win.
Yeah, I think that's always possible, but I still see Tarling as a favorite of the three. And partially, that is because, is it weird that I've partially lost a tiny bit of confidence in Ghana over the last 2 years? Because he doesn't always get it right when you kind of expect him to get it right. In the Giro, his time trials were actually good. His climbing time trial and his flat time trial were good. He got second on the climbing time trial behind Pogacar, and he beat Pogacar on the flat one. That's a good time trial. But
they weren't out of this. They weren't out of this world TTs either.
Yeah, and it was really disappointing to see him lose from Juan Ayuso on a flat TT in Tirreno. That is crazy to me. And then I look at the other favorites we're talking about. Yes, when it comes to Tarling, sorry, but the British NCITT, I'm not putting too much weight on necessarily. But like, we don't have many results when it comes to Tarling this year. But when he's riding, he's competing for the victory, if not winning time trials. And it was the same last year. And I would expect him to be a bit better than last year again, because building towards the Olympics, etc. So, does Remco's GC weight? Because let's be honest about it. If Remco goes to a Grand Tour, he's losing weight to like roughly 63 kilos, then he can't push the same absolute watts as if he's, well, let's say 65 kilos.
That's the biggest knock on Remco, and I think he even said as much last year before the Vuelta. Like, compare Remco at the... No, not the Vuelta. Did you do the Vuelta last year?
Yeah, he did.
Really?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, he did. Compare him at the World Championships last year to what you'll see at the Olympics. Now, maybe they did a carb reload in this week and had some pastries, but for sure he was heavier on purpose to push more power on that Glasgow course.
2018? 2019?
19, maybe. And now he's, like super skinny from the tour. And you can't just gain 1.5 kilos of muscle in a week. I wish that was the case. So that is the knock on him. And the theory being, listen, we're not TT experts, but like the big boys who are 80 kilos plus, they get up to speed and then they just go brrr on the flat section and just hold 460 and go really, really, really fast. And all that matters is pushing more power and being aero and not weight whatsoever on this course.
Important question. If Ghana and Tarling were a vehicle, what vehicles would they be?
Tarling's an Ineos Grenadier, quite obviously. And
God damn it.
Ghana is one of those high maintenance like Ferrari SUVs that cost a lot of money, and okay, they'll give you something sometimes, but actually you don't know if it's worth it in the end.
That's like a hidden roast in there.
It's not a hidden roast. But he's an Olympic rider first and an Ineos rider second sometimes.
Fair.
Maybe the gold medals are good too. But yeah, I really, apart from prognosticating on, what about the outsiders, Benji? What outsiders? We should maybe, given that I can't split the three really, I don't have a strong view between the three. Who do you see as a threat to the podium? It could rain, Please, Magnus Sheffield, listen, Magnus, just take it easy in the corners. There's not that many of them. You won't win or lose the TT in the corners. Let's keep it upright in these corners, especially in the wet. Who do you see as a threat to podium?
A threat to podium when it comes to the full start. Let's go let's maybe go country by country. Next to Joshua Tarling at Great Britain, we've got Hayter and Fred Wright. Wouldn't be surprising if Hayter gets close to a podium, but I'm not necessarily saying podium yet right now. He does seem to be in relatively okay form. He's British national champion. He was a pretty strong on a mountain stage in Romandie, if I recall correctly. He's not getting the victories anymore that he was getting back in the day, which is weird to say for a young rider, but I feel like the resurrection of Hayter is coming. I don't know why, but I feel some resurrection coming. I don't expect him to win this time trial, but he might get relatively close in like a top 5 or something. When I look at the United States, Sheffield and McNulty, you already mentioned Sheffield. Honestly, if you got to risk stuff in a time trial, don't do it in a random time trial throughout a year like Algarve or something. Do it at the Olympics at least. So I'm okay with him taking risks on this regard. If he crashes, he's got a few weeks to recover anyway. But McNulty, I don't necessarily see it. It's McNulty, I would more pull out of a bag when I see a more rolly time trial, a more altitude meters in there, etc. Sheffield could top 5, top 6, top 7 for me as well. Stefan Küng, 32 kilometers. What's
the right
his track
distance for
record
him
this year?
It's the right distance for him.
10th at the first time trial at the Tour, that's not good.
Yeah, the problem is he can't push any power. So, like, even if his setup is good, like, he's not... Like, let's say Van Aert was in bad shape at the Tour by his standards, but Küng was, like, really bad.
Yeah.
So...
I don't expect much from Van Aert either, to be honest. His time trial at the Tour didn't give me any confidence. And he himself went out to say that he's not expecting much from the time trial in the last couple of weeks. So
there's just there is nothing he has done in the TT in the last 2 years to suggest he's remotely capable of competing with Remco or Tarling. Like there's big, like the Europeans last year, Tarling put 43 seconds into him in 28 Ks in the Netherlands on a flat course. So yeah, there's just...
Sorry, but I'm looking through the start. Skjelmose, Bjerg, we've got Dan Hole, Bettiol, Oilascano, Vokoland, Tratnik, with Nelson Oliveira, Rui Costa, Bissiger, Martinez, Weidenskold, Vos, etc., etc., etc. There's no one else on the start list that can win this time trial except for the top 3 favorites for me.
Yeah, that even if one of them has an issue, then one of the other 2 should win. I would say McNulty would be my biggest dark horse. Yeah, America and all that. The American kits look pretty sick. I think they're Ralph Lauren provided. So
they're
that's
just
like
white.
The kits.
Yeah, just white kits with like a USA logo on it. No.
No. The formal wear one for the opening ceremony, like the blazer and jeans. They look pretty sick. And McNulty's been actually good on flat TTs this year. He won the UAE Tour TT, but that was...
Fair.
Yeah, but still, it's 4 seconds ahead of Vos, ahead of Bjerg, 14 ahead of Vos. But like there's a reason he's 4th or 5th favorite. It's because he actually he's won 2 World Tour time trial TTs this year. So there's a reason McNulty is there, but as Benji says, very difficult to imagine him beating all 3. If one of them has an issue, McNulty would be my pick to take a podium spot. So who you got, Benji?
I'm going for Tarling. I feel like when it comes to Joshua Tarling, the added effect of rain that I feel like slightly negatively impacts Remco's chances, the fact that it's basically his main goal, the Olympics of the season, that he's worked towards it entirely. Ganna's done the Giro in combination with the Olympics. That doesn't necessarily take away from Ganna, but I've got a minus feeling when it comes to Ganna on slight disappointments in TTs in the last 2 years. So I'm going for Joshua Tarling winning the Olympic time trial, men's side.
I'm going with Ganna. I think this has been a big goal for him for a number of years. I think at the Olympics in 2021, he was in outstanding shape, but there was 700 meters of elevation gain, and it was a 47 km/h average, and he still finished only on a minute or so to Roglic, and he beat Van Aert. It was like on Van Aert's time when Van Aert was really good in the TT. He also and then in the Worlds after that, he destroyed Evenepoel on the 54 km/h average Knocker Heist course. So I think the flat course really, really suits him, but I also, I wouldn't be surprised to see either of the other two win, and I got to pick someone different.
One more thing. When it comes to Ganna and Tarling, another thing that leans me towards Tarling over Ganna is when it comes to Tarling, he's combining it with Madison, a track discipline that, according to Luke, because I had no fucking clue how Madison worked, is a relatively long effort compared to, then I look at Ganna and his main focus when it comes to track is, for example, team pursuit, individual pursuit. That's more the 3 minutes 40, 4 minutes effort that you're looking at. Does that not negatively impact Ganna's chances of the time trial that he also has to be great at a 4-minute effort too?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Mainly because I think the road TT is, I'm just guessing, a big priority for him, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
I don't really know. I think he should be okay, but you're right. Tarling is definitely more of that, as listed, that's fast twitch. Like Ganna still, we won a sprint in Austria about a couple of weeks ago, so he's much quicker than Tarling. But yeah, I can't really split them. Okay. Anything else from this TT, Benji? Anyone you want to throw into the top 10 to really surprise?
No, I'm done when it comes to this time trial. I want to see the big three fight, and let's bring us over to the women's side then. No,
onto the women's, where we also have odds as well. Chloe Dygert is the favorite, $1.60.
Really?
She's because Ellen Van Dyke's the second favorite, $4. That's because Ellen Van Dyke got a fractured ankle, and basically, I think about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, the decision was made that she was going to start. Grace Brown, who lost the World's TT last year by a very small margin, is third favorite at $4.50. And like in the men's, those three are really cornering the market. Demi Vollering's fourth favorite at 23, Elisa Longoborghini at 23, Kopecky at 34, Anna Henderson 34, Taylor Knibb, who I think is a triathlete, American triathlete, 34, Christina Schweinberger 51, Cordon Rigaud 81, and then we're into the hundreds with the top 10, 11th Lebu. So you're surprised to see Dygert so short, Benji? Why?
I don't know. It's like, when it comes to the preparation towards this Olympics time trial, there's some things that went wrong when it comes to Dygert. And there was this article in Cycling News by Simone Giuliani that spoke about the entire prep that she has gone through towards this race. And in December, she had an Achilles injury that made her have an unideal prep. And she tried to get back from that too quickly, and then eventually ended up crashing twice at RVV again, then decided to take a break to prepare for the Olympics fully. But by then, she's only done 3 race days this entire year up to this point. So it's not much when it comes to racing. After RVV, 3 weeks off the bike to recover from all the issues she's had. And then she only had 13 weeks left to prepare for the ITT. Now, we've seen some Danish GC riders preparing less for big goals, but when it comes to Dygert, it didn't go perfect either, because then during a track camp in, I think, Zolder in Belgium, she had another setback. She had COVID during that preparation, and she thought, okay, well, it's done now, isn't it? Another thing ruining my prep, but that wasn't the case. She went back to the US, had a few days off, restarted training, did altitude prep, and then she started breaking time she hadn't broken before ever, and see power numbers that she hadn't seen in a long time. So regardless of all the setbacks, the outcome sounds pretty good.
She's going to win easily. Stars and Stripes, baby. 3 race days in Europe this year. Olympics, boom. Put the Stars and Stripes on. What she won, she beat Brown by 6 seconds last year, and I think what she said, she said she had COVID. No, she didn't. She said she was sick. Probably was COVID, but she's like, I didn't want to say that COVID was real. So then she...
Well, now she said it during her prep. She said she had COVID.
Okay. She should destroy everybody. Like Van Dyke. With perfect prep, Van Dyke still probably wouldn't beat her. Dygert, like since she came onto the scene and when she beat Van der Breggen by a minute and a half on the Healy Harrogate course, what happened in the Olympic Games in TT in Tokyo? Was it just too hilly?
Is that not where she crashed? Or was that Imola?
Nah, that was Imola.
When the fuck
Bro,
was Imola?
her career is just so strange. Like, it's a bit sad, but she should win easily.
Anyway, one of the reasons, well, it's in hindsight, it's actually not too surprising that her odds are that short, because Reusser, who was also meant to ride this, is not riding this because she had recurring illnesses or infections that they haven't found the cause yet, but she's aiming to be back for the World's ITT in Zurich in, is it September, I'm guessing, roughly?
Yeah.
Probably. And then when it comes to Van Dijk, you said already 6 weeks ago she broke her ankle. So after she collided with a trailer at a training camp in Spain, not ideal. Well, definitely not ideal. Jesus Christ. So that's a bit of a negative on that end. It's hard to see someone come back from that and win the Olympics ITT compared to yes, Chloe Dygert didn't have the perfect prep, but she didn't break her ankle 6 weeks ago, so she should be relatively okay. Grace Brown, my heart wants her to win, because seeing her lose closely last year was sad. But then again, being second at the Giro Don ITT behind the Longo Borghini, yes, it was only by a small margin, but you'd expect her to win that time trial for her to have a chance at this Olympics ITT. And that did not happen. So it's hard for me to see her chances at the Olympics ITT. As a follow-up to that, she's retiring at the end of the season. It would be nice to see her win, but my brain also says Chloe Dygert.
Yeah, like Chloe Dygert, I don't know, she's the similar sort of odds as Tarling, but the difference in TT level between her and the others, to me, is much more stark than Tarling against Ganna and Tarling against Evenepoel. Like, if Dygert is on, and if this article is to be believed, that she's done altitude, she's doing the power numbers.
Yeah, but
if she's doing her 2020 power numbers or 2019 power numbers, these others can't touch her.
But for me, you're also maybe underrating. If peak Van Dijk was here, it would be close, in my opinion. Because last year Van Dijk wasn't there due to maternity leave at the World Championship, so maybe her absence there is skewing the view a bit. Because Van Dijk in her peak years dominated time trial by like 40 seconds, stuff like that, especially the flat ones. So I just don't expect peak Van Dijk to be here at this time trial, especially with the ankle injury. But is there anyone like outside of the three that we're looking at? Because it's kind of a similar story towards the men's, where I'm like, yeah, there's solid TTers, and here Taylor Nibat, what was it, US champs that she did super good at this year? Actually, what, 11 seconds over Faulkner? That's actually not as crazy as
that's what I mean. Like, a lot of these riders are much of a muchness, you know. Like Brown, Nib, Faulkner, Vollering, ELB, Schweinberger, Henderson. They could all be within 30-40 seconds of one another, but Dygert, she should be a minute ahead. Like, if she's in top shape.
Am I looking wrongly at Longo Borghini, who's arguably having one of her best seasons of all time, in my opinion, where I'm judging Brown on losing from Longo Borghini at Giro Don instead of applauding Longo Borghini for beating Brown at Giro Don? Is it the other way around, where she's better than expected?
She lost to Vittoria Grazzini in a flat-ish TT in Italian national champs, and she was good enough to win the road race the next day or on that weekend. So I also don't, on a 32 kilometer course, again, it's much of a muchness. Like, you want that absolute power. She's been in great GC shape, climbing really well in the Giro Don. She was really, really good. Obviously, she won GC, but that was also like, her climbing is actually stepped up this year from my perspective. Last year, she didn't climb so well. This year, third Vuelta, third Swiss, won the women's Giro. So again, I mean, maybe the rain plays a factor as well. There's Ludwig and Norsgaard for Denmark, Kadzau, I think, and Fisher Black for New Zealand, Kiesenhoff for Schweinberger for Austria, the controversial selections of Eugenia Bujak and Urska Pintar for Slovenia, individual neutral athletes. There's Tamara Dronova Balobalina. Hold on.
And Serak is probably Belarusian?
Yeah, she's Belarusian.
Anyway, Don't expect much.
Death, taxes, Olga Zabelinskaya top 10 this TT at 44.
To be honest, when I go through the list, she can. But
yeah, I know.
I know. Then I look at her season, and it's not actually that good at all.
I think she has a son who's quite good.
Doesn't he ride for the Quickstep team?
Yeah, he's on Quickstep Devo. He's 19. Yep. He's but his nationality is Cypriot, of course.
Isn't he also the son of a cyclist?
No, his granddad is Sergei Sukorochenkov, who won Tour de l'Avenir twice in the 70s and seemed to be quite an accomplished rider.
Was that when Avenir was Avenir already Avenir?
It was pros then.
Okay.
I think. But
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Zabelinskaya, she won Asian Conti Champs TT by 55 seconds. Nah, she's on for a top 10. She's on for a top 10. Like, it's crazy her longevity. It's like Amber Neben. If Amber Neben was here, she would top 10 for sure.
I repeat, Kiesenhofer top 10 is happening.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think Dygett's going to win pretty comfortably. I think Grace Brown actually will come second. I think she'll actually beat Van Dijk because of Van Dijk's preparation. And then I think Anna Henderson actually can beat Van Dijk as well. I think Anna Henderson would be my pick for like a podium dark horse. She won British national champs. I know it's British national champs, but she did smoke the others. I know it was a slow course, but she actually was in good shape this year, and the Vuelta crash really cooked her. And last year at Worlds, she was 2 seconds off the podium behind Schweinberger. Maybe I'm discounting Schweinberger, who again has had a really, really good season. And but she also
Lamborghini, if anyone, podiums outside of the tree.
Yeah, Schweinberger wasn't so good. She should have been winning that Thuringen Ladies Tour TT, which was 31.5 kilometers long and relatively flat. She came third there behind Bredevold. So she really, to be podiuming this against this competition, she'd need to be winning. So Henderson's my podium dark horse, Brown second, and Dygert winning. Anything else for the TT, Benji? Any other top 10s you like to throw in, like Zabelinskaya?
Not really. I've said my says, and for me it's Joshua Tarling and Chloe Dargard winning the ITTs, and I'm just very much looking forward to the road race. Sorry, but I like seeing this time trial as like the warm up, but I'm very much looking forward to the road race because there's the limited teams in the road race. I have so many different dynamics in it. Either I'm overhyping it in my head, but it feels a lot like there will be absolutely no control in that race.
Yeah, no, and they don't have no radios. It's the women's race could be entertaining once again with Vollering, with who else is doing it? The Dutch team. Wiebes, Vos? Van Dijk, Vollering, Vos. Van Dijk they've taken to be the glue. She's the glue woman, right? To actually make them function as a team, because in 2021 they took Van der Breggen, Van Vleuten, Vollering, Vos, and that was obviously a complete disaster. So yeah, Van Dijk is selected as the glue. But then Belgium's got three actually very... Oh, I'm not going to preview it now. What am I doing? Preview it later. But anyway.
I was like, man's working too early. The preview's next week.
I agree. I'm looking forward to the road race more than the TT, although it's, Olympic medals, it's a big deal. And again...
Do you care about track?
To be honest, I'm not going to watch the Olympics. I don't care about it at all. I've never been.
I swear, if you go back 4 years to our previous Olympics podcast, I was the one that was saying I don't give a fuck about the Olympics, and you were the one protecting it, defending it, and now I'm interested and you're hating it.
I've gotten old, Benji. I've gotten cynical. What's going on with the running at the moment? What happened with the Chinese swimmers? Maybe people call me hypocritical, but it's tough to watch, to be honest.
I get that.
So I'll watch the opening ceremony because I like the pageantry, but and I watch the cycling events as well because it's cool to see the riders in a different forum, and it is a big deal for them. Maybe I'll watch some I like the shooting, or like the Mickey Mouse events, which you never watch, like the sports that you never ever watch. I like watching them sometimes, but
The shooting.
I think it's just because it's so soon after the tour. And I feel like actually the tour, I feel like viewership was a bit down this year.
Yeah.
Euros and then the Olympics straight after. I just haven't had time to get into it. And also, like, I used to really love the weightlifting, and also that's become like, yeah, it's a farce, unfortunately.
How would your weightlifting be now compared to your prime weightlifting years?
What do you mean? Like, what could I squat?
We need a LRCP strength test.
Dude, I hadn't squatted for like 4 years. And I was in a hotel in London when we did Rouleau Live, and I put it no spot. I still cranked out 100. But then my back was so jacked, I couldn't walk. So it wasn't very smart. But I don't know.
Call the Andorra gym. We're doing an LRCP strength test.
It's very, very bad. It's very, very bad. Probably now my legs are okay, but yeah, upper body is useless, obviously. I don't know. We should do a one lift max, Benji. One lift max.
I don't know what that means, but I'm down.
Like the maximum you can lift on. Say we won't do Olympic lifts. Maybe bench, squat, deadlift.
You'll have to teach me how it works, Because
okay, we're not going to do 1 rep maxes for Benji's first time doing the exercise. get LR Media going to get a claim when you get a herniated disc. All right. Hope you enjoyed the preview. We'll be watching on Saturday the TTs, and then we'll have the recap podcast obviously straight afterwards. So we'll see you on Saturday afternoon. Until then, ciao.